Hey Pokemon Masters, Birdkeepertoby here. For the longest time, my dream has been for Pokemon to be real, to go out into the real world and capture them, and while Pokemon Go is helping, it turns out I never really needed it because there are some animals in the world that are just like Pokemon, and not just in the way they look, in their ability to attack and defend themselves. So today's video is going to be a top 10, a list of 10 animals that are just like Pokemon, powerful enough to even give Charizard a run for his money. I say 10, it's really 9 of my favorites and 1 of my good friend True Green's 7s.
That's right, because my favorite Pokemon is Sceptile, and there's an animal just like him. Let's begin.
Number 1, Sceptile and the Leaf-tailed Gecko.
Okay, I'm really excited to talk about my favorite Pokemon and how the animal that inspired the Gen 3 starter evolution line is as cool as Sceptile himself.
Yeah, the Leaf-tailed Gecko is basically a real-world Sceptile. Look at this image, do you see the Leaf-tailed Gecko? No, that's because it's camouflaged itself. It camouflages itself in its surroundings much like Sceptile. That said, I've got to question Mega Sceptile's surroundings though. It seems like it spent a little bit too long in Winter Wonderland.
Sceptile is on this list for more than one reason though. Trico and its evolutions are incredibly good climbers.
And that's not surprising, seeing as real geckos have adhesive toes that allow them to stick and climb on vertical surfaces.
And upon Mega Evolution, Sceptile is able to project its tail out of its body like a missile, just like most real-world geckos, granted with much more force. But most geckos do undergo a process called autonomy, in which they lose their tails in self-defense and then grow them back.
Number 2, Croagunk and the Poison Dart Frog. Okay, so one of my favorites is the Poison Dart Frog, who secretes toxins so deadly that Native Americans used to dip their darts from blow darts into these toxins. Does any of that sound familiar? It should, because a fast jabbing poisonous frog is exactly what Croagunk is.
The final thing that links Croagunk and these beautiful little frogs is how scientists have used the frog's poison to make very potent painkillers. That was the most alliteration I've ever done. Croagunk's poison is also used as an ingredient in remedies for lower back pain, which is pretty ironic considering how in the anime, Croagunk gives Brock lower back pain all the time.
Number 3, Victreebel and the Pitcher Plant.
Victreebel is one of those Pokemon that is a little too faithful to what it's based on. Just like Victreebel, the pitcher plant has a very slippery cavity, and any animal that falls into the plant will slowly be dissolved by digestive fluids. You know, for kids!
Not only that, but the opening of the pitcher plant's mouth is often made more slippery by the nectar that the insects bring it. The insect carries the nectar to it, which then makes the mouth opening slippery, and then the insect falls in. And good luck for the insect trying to climb out because the inside is lined with hairs that prevent anything from climbing upwards. While the pitcher plant normally dissolves insects, it's also been known to dissolve birds, so down with the Victreebel, Birdkeepertoby to the rescue! You know what? Actually it's fine because both flying and bug are strong against grass, so joke's on you, Victreebel. Number 4, Zangoose and the Mongoose.
Zangoose is a Pokemon that I cherish because it helped me defeat a Battle Frontier brain a few months ago. But its badassery doesn't stop there. It has been feuding with Seviper for many generations and has developed an ability called Immunity, which prevents Zangoose from getting poisoned. It even has the ability Toxic Boost, which powers up physical attacks when poisoned.
The mongoose parallels all of this perfectly. It's an animal that's been imported to several areas to deal with snake issues, which are often seen as pests. This is because the mongoose is a vicious predator that eats a whole bunch of different animals, including snakes. It doesn't normally eat snakes as part of its diet, but as a result of importing them into areas where snakes are, they've grown to eat them. And they've also been known to take part in mock fights with them for entertainment. And the reason the mongoose is so good at fighting snakes is because it has special receptors in its body that makes it immune to the snake venom, just like Zangoose. Number 5, Sandslash and the Pangolin.
Ah, here's the one from the thumbnail. Sandslash and the Pangolin. I feel like this is a good one to talk about because its real-world counterpart is exactly the same. I mean, look at this. These guys are identical. But not only that, Sandslash learns rollout and defense curl for good reasons. That's the Pangolin's main defense strategy. When threatened, it just rolls up into a ball.
However, there are two kinds of pangolin. One uses its sharp claws to burrow inside of trees, while the other one, much like Sandslash, burrows into the ground. So basically, it's a Sandslash using the real-world equivalent of Dig. I mean, this isn't even like it's based off of it. This is a one-to-one. This Pokemon is a Pangolin. So does that mean we could see a climbing grass, tree-burrowing Sandslash in future games? Number 6, Electros and the Electric Eel. So obviously it doesn't need to be said that there are electric eels in the real world, which Electros is based off of, but the main thing that's astounding about this is that moves like Thunderbolt and Thunder within this context aren't that far-fetched. In fact, loads of animals have electric fields around them, just not many of them can undergo electrogenesis, which is the production of electricity.
But most don't use this shocking ability as a weapon. They use the electric field that they create to communicate with each other, much like how Pikachu and Zapdos talk by thunderbolts in the second Pokemon movie. Also, electric eels kinda electrocute themselves when they do this, and I'm not sure they levitate like Electros does. Wait, do eels levitate, Toby?
No, they don't. They really don't. Number 7, Burmy/Pineco and the bagworm.
Burmy is a bug type that uses its environment to create a protective and camouflaging case. This is due to the fact that it's completely based on the bagworm larva, which make cases out of environmental materials such as sand, soil, and bark. In fact, Burmy isn't the only bagworm Pokemon within the franchise. Pineco is one as well.
Hang on a moment, isn't Pineco based off the pinecone? Well, what you have to remember is that its Japanese name translates as oak ball, which is what pinecones are. But what you have to remember is that bagworms also disguise themselves as pine cones, and that Pineco's Dex entry species name is the bagworm Pokemon. Which makes it pretty safe to say that Burmy and Pineco are both based off the exact same animal. Also, Pineco is a bug type, not a grass type, so again, that lends more to it being a bagworm. Number 8, Qwilfish and the Fugu. Qwilfish is another Pokemon whose real-world counterpart is exactly the same, the Fugu, which is the name for both the animal, the pufferfish, and the dish that's prepared from it. Another poison type on this list, the Fugu's poison is 1,200 times more powerful than cyanide, which probably makes it more powerful than Qwilfish, seeing as Qwilfish can only make you faint. In fact, the Fugu is so powerful that if you make contact with its poison, expect to be paralyzed while still conscious and then die from asphyxiation. That's just from touching it. So, that's nice.
That said, despite its poison, Fugu has been eaten in Japan for centuries. Although for many periods in Japan's history, consumption of the fish was prohibited, in modern Japan, Japanese chefs must be specially licensed to prepare and sell Fugu. Move over, Slowpoke Tails! It's time for some delicious yet diligently prepared Qwilfish.
Number 9, Trapinch and the Antlion larvae.
The whole Trapinch family is based on the antlions, who are often mistaken for dragonflies, but Trapinch is based on the larva stage, which is most definitely not mistaken for a dragonfly. Trapinch's name kinda gives away exactly what antlion larvas do. They trap and they pinch. This is actually the whole premise for the Arena Trap ability that it and the Dugtrio family possess. They all battle from the bottom of a pit that prevents their opponents from fleeing.
Imagine you're a lonely little Durant wandering about the desert, scuttling around, and then suddenly realizing that you're falling and that the ground is a lot less stable than before. That is because of the Antlion's pit. The pit that the Antlion sits in and has made for itself is made of very, very loose grains of sand and rock. So it's kind of like imagine you're just walking along and then suddenly the ground has become a ball pit without you realizing. But not only that, the pit is funneled towards the open mouth of the Antlion, so it's just like a miniature Sarlacc pit. But it's not like the Antlion's just sitting there with its mouth open in the air all the time. It can sense the vibrations of the ants falling through the rubble of the pit that it's made, so it knows exactly when to have its mouth open and when to expect its next meal. In fact, in Japan, the ability Arena Trap is called Antlion. Number 10, Clauncher and the Pistol Shrimp.
Now, Clauncher is based on the real-world pistol shrimp. This snapping shrimp is one of the few creatures on Earth that has an almost unnatural superpower. Despite its size, this animal competes with animals like the sperm whale for being the loudest animal in the sea, because the pistol shrimp snaps its claws shut with so much pressure that it creates a 60-mile-per-hour bubble, which can burst at a temperature close to that of the sun. No big deal, it's just an animal that can generate as much heat as a star.
So it's nice to see that despite the complaints of some Pokemon fans, Game Freak have still got it. This is a cool Generation 6 Pokemon and I'm expecting many more cool Generation 7 Pokemon to come. But of course not everyone believes that Pokemon is definitely getting better. In fact, many people believe that Pokemon is just progressively getting worse. But that is just one of 10 misconceptions that we are going to be sure to debunk over on True Green's channel right now. So come on over, links are on the screen and in the description. Special thanks to our Patreons, including the Patron of the Month, Sybronex. Head on over there as we debunk 10 of the most common misconceptions about Pokemon. So hi, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeepertoby. That makes you a Pokemon